first.
A change to the jet stream patterns means a fairly quiet forecast for us here this week. Not much in the way of precip advertised by long-range models for the next 7 days. Mostly cloudy this afternoon, high 35. Low tonight, 28 degrees. Northwest breeze tomorrow, cloudy 36. And cloudy on Wednesday, 37 degrees. I'm meteorologist Scott Laurie. More on News Talk 760 WJR.
It's time for Lions Review. Presented by MGM Grand Detroit, the king of sportsbooks. Now here's the voice of the Detroit Lions, Dan Miller.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the final edition of Lions Review for 2020. This is 2021, but the season has ended, and now the Lions go into a period of time which, wow, is it important for this franchise as they look to hire a general manager and a head coach. We got a lot to talk about tonight, so we'll talk about those things, a little bit about the game that happened yesterday, but really that's not the focus right now. Very quickly it shifted from that to a whole lot of questions about what's to come in the ensuing days. Michael Hara joins us from DetroitLions.com, brought to you by Comerica Bank. Experience full-service banking at Comerica Bank. Learn more at Comerica.com. Michael, good evening to you.
Good evening to you, Dan. Good evening to Nick Roddy, and good evening to everybody out there.
Nick Roddy, our executive producer, who's alongside as well tonight. Michael, got anything you want to say about the game?
I'm glad it's over. It was kind of fun to watch. It really was. A lot of offense. The Lions defense didn't really show up. It was better than it was against Tampa Bay the week before. But once again, Matthew Stafford, to me, he's out there for the coin
flip. Was it
flip.
much better than it was a week before?
Well, they were playing a lesser team, so I guess they had some help.
Yeah.
But it wasn't much better.
No, they got on another one of those runs where they just it's like, I'm going to pull it up here. It's like,
wasn't it
this happened. Yeah, this is what happened all year long. And it's just, they went punt, great start.
Yep.
And then Minnesota went touchdown, missed field goal, touchdown, field goal, touchdown. It's like, wow. Can you throw in a stop somewhere in there?
Well, just a minute. Let's be fair here. You forgot to mention the game-ending kneel down.
Exactly. Well, that led up to the end of the game possession, which was a 10-play, 72-yard drive in which they killed the clock.
Yep.
So it's just, look, this is well-plowed ground here to say that the defense was terrible this year. Just awful. And it's part of what has to happen here going forward, that they have to find a way to fix this thing. And, it's funny. And you've been doing this for a long time. Was it always the case at the end of the year where people rooted for a team to lose because of draft position, or do you think that's more of a recent thing?
I think it's more of a recent thing, and I think it kind of started on sports talk, and people repeat what they see and repeat what they hear, and I think it gains momentum, and it's all of a sudden people are talking about it. But I don't remember.
And the draft is so big now; it's so big. You know who all the players are. Heck, when you go back to the 70s, you basically had to look in the paper the next day to see who your team drafted. You didn't really know that day who they took in maybe the first round, but not in the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, things like that.
Yeah, in fact, I remember back in those days, Dan, and I started covering the Detroit Lions in 1977. And I think the draft started Saturday morning, maybe something like that.
Yep.
But I do remember that the newspaper sports department, we would get more calls on the draft than any other I would say not event, but
a game.
Yeah, not a game. It was the draft got more calls than anything else.
Really? Even back in the 70s?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, but then it's changed now because all you got to do is click on your device and find out what's going on. But
much different now.
Just to your point, I remember in 1980 when the Lions lost the last game to the Green Bay Packers, and we're talking to Monty Clark, and they're at the Silverdome back in this little cubbyhole we used to do the post-game interviews, and somebody just kind of mentioned, hey Monty, you finished last. And he says, well, then I guess we've got Billy Sims. And that was it. There was no, tanking or anything. They played their hearts off that game.
He wasn't trying to hide who they were going to take either.
Absolutely not. No, we got him. That was the number one guy right from the start.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's certainly a part of the story yesterday. And some people look at last night, what happened with Philadelphia, and feel like that was a part of what they did, where they just, that was such a bad look with a division championship on the line, and you put Nate Sudfeld in the game, and you got Jalen Hurts over on the sidelines. Granted, he wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination, but in essence, you handed the division title to Washington. And if you're a Giants fan, you're looking at that and you're thinking, what about the integrity of the game?
Well, let me just say this though: the integrity of the game. Do you want to win the division title at 6-10?
Yes, I want a home playoff game.
I want a home playoff game.
If I have a choice,
what do the Giants have to complain about?
If I
They're
have a
6-10,
playing next week or not playing next week, I want to play next week.
Well, of course, I wanted to play, but they got no beef at 6-10. I don't feel sorry.
I understand that they had opportunities to win games. I understand that. Okay,
Come on.
I understand that, but can you still look at that and feel like Philadelphia represented themselves? They talk in golf about when you're playing with another guy, you're protecting the field by watching that other guy. They didn't protect the field last night at all. They were like Patrick Reed.
Did the Pittsburgh Steelers protect the field against the Cleveland Browns, or this just wasn't out in the open? And it wasn't. Oh, I'm sorry, the New York Giants.
It wasn't Sunday night.
Yeah, come on.
It wasn't Sunday night for everybody to see. It was, it was what it was. I asked Ken Brown to come on tonight because he entertains me. So I just love Ken's ideas on how to fix things. So we're going to bring him on in the next segment, and I'm just going to give him the floor. And I just love hearing how Ken says he's going to fix things.
But he'll fix it today, and tomorrow he'll find another way to do it.
Yeah, but I love it. And I can only assume that it's going to involve picking up 7 players on waivers. That'll be his idea on how to improve the roster.
It's not a bad idea.
There's a joke in there somewhere that I'll let fly, but won't take much to improve that defense. That's for sure. That's something that's a big part of the offseason.
And Dan, I can't remember an offseason.
Waivers or not.
I can't remember going into an offseason, day after the season ended, where there were so many questions for the Detroit Lions, and it's so many questions.
Ones.
It's the head coach, it's the general manager, it's Matthew Stafford, it's coordinators, it's staff, it's who are they going to draft, all of that stuff. There are so many loose threads.
And mostly, Mike, it's because we don't know who the players are. We don't know by players, I mean the people that'll be making those decisions.
Absolutely.
So let's take a break. We'll come right back. We'll invite KB in, and we'll have some fun talking about the road ahead a little bit later. Kyle Meinke from MLive.com is going to join us. So hang around. We're having some fun tonight. Lions Review, looking ahead to what's going to be a very eventful off season. So stick with us. We'll be right back after this.
back to more Lions Review. Presented by MGM Grand Detroit, the king of sportsbooks. Here's Dan Miller.
Stafford turns, fakes the gift to Peterson, sets deep in the pocket, throws deep right side, wants Marvin Jones, got him inside the 5 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Stafford to Jones on the connection. That's a big one, too, for Detroit, 43 yards. Second down and 3, Stafford to throw again. Pumps once, now throws. Caught Marvin Jones, he can walk in. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Stafford to Jones. They've done it for the second time today. 26 yards on the connection.
When you talk about a route runner, that was an excellent route by Marvin Jones Jr. He stuck his foot in the ground and he left the deep, he and his jock sitting right there. Awesome route by Marvin Jones Jr. Man,
Goodness, did he sell that?
oh my goodness.
There it was yesterday, boy. That defender just went down. Marvin just left him in the dust. Yeah, one of the guys we'll talk about. All right, let's bring him in. This interview with the head coach, Ken Brown, is brought to you by MGM Grand Detroit, the king of sports books. KB, I just said, you know what? I got to get KB on tonight because A, he entertains me. B, I know he's got a plan.
I have a plan.
He's always got a plan. So, KB, I'm just going to step aside,
All right.
and I'm going to give you the floor. Lead us to the promised land.
Kenny, just a minute. Can I go downstairs first? Go ahead.
No, you stay where you're at, Mike. You stay where you're at. Just like Muhammad Ali had in 74 when he fought George Foreman, the rope-a-dope, it's time to poach a coach. I'm into the poach a coach. We got to get a coach that's coaching right now. Why don't we go try to find one of these guys with a team right now and poach them?
Who? Who do you want to go get?
I can give you a couple names. I don't know if I'm gonna be caught with tampering with this, but is John Harbaugh happy in Baltimore? Is Sean Payton happy in New Orleans? Those are two names.
I mean, that's awful difficult to get a guy who's got a contract and to get you'd probably have to give for those guys. You'd have to give up a heck of a draft pick.
Isn't Mike Tomlin's contract up at the end of this year too?
I don't know what his status is. I don't know if he's up or I feel like he's re-signed, but I'm not sure. All right, let's just say you can't get a coach that's coaching right now. Do you have a backup plan?
Marvin Lewis is always my backup plan. I was telling Mike about this on our podcast for weeks that I need a proven head coach. You got to go in with the Salas and all these assistants that were, Salas, Matt Patricia 3 years ago. Oh, this is the guy. This is going to be the next guy. This is you get him and you're set. You never know with assistants. You never know, Mike. They've never
Kenny,
been
hold
head
on
coach.
a second. Just one thing. What's not the same about it is, though, that he's not following his general manager to a location. This is Salah he's in San Francisco. It's not like the Detroit Lions are hiring his general manager, bringing him to Detroit, and he's just going to wait out and bring his guy here to coach.
Right. And I'm not talking about that part of it. I'm just talking about the part that we don't know. These guys,
you don't know, but couldn't you say then by your logic that any current coordinator is Matt Patricia?
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's why I want a guy who's been a head coach for this job. I'll even take a college head coach if it's the right one. I just want a leader of men that has done it, and I think that's what they need to do. I think that's the way you got to go.
I mean, but Buffalo's doing all right with somebody who hadn't done it. The Rams are doing all right with somebody who hadn't done it.
Well, with those teams, you can take the chance because the fan base will wait or whatever. This time, this fan base is not going to wait another 4 years on. Let's see if this is the guy. Get a proven guy in there. Now, I got one caveat. If you get a proven GM and he wants a young guy like that, then I will settle for that.
I was going to ask you about that because a lot of the GMs they've talked to have had experience.
Right.
So are you just saying you need experience in one of the spots?
I want it at the coach, but I'll take it at the GM. But like I said, we're not running the gong show in here. We're not running two new guys in fresh off some farm or a camp or a college campus that's never done it before and say, you know what, I think you're going to be the guy. No, we have to have something proven.
I would be shocked, Mike. I'll jump in here, but I would be shocked if they end up with two people who've never done the job before. I'd be shocked by that.
That would surprise me too, but I mean, Kenny, are you ruling out hiring a coach before you hire the general manager?
Depending on the coach. If it's a coach that you got to get them now because there's 6 teams out there looking for head coaches and that's your guy, then go get them. What are you waiting for? But if it's, if you don't have a real clear front runner, Get your GM first and let him be in on the pick.
See, that's the interesting thing to me, and you bring up a great conversation point there, KB, is the number of people that are out there looking for general managers, add the Broncos as of today, and the number of people that are looking for a head coach. I'm not a good shopper. I don't have the patience, and I don't have the poker face. So I would be laying up at night wondering if somebody else is taking my guy. So this is where you've really got to be patient, and you probably need to have somebody who's better at this than me, because I would be worried about somebody else getting the guy that I want. And I just wonder if that doesn't make you move a little bit quicker, just the number of teams that are out there looking at people and that are in the market to fill the same positions that you are.
Right.
Well,
we can't be like Mike O'Hara, who spends 8 hours in Walmart every Saturday just going around with an empty basket. We just can't have that. We gotta get in there.
I'm going to tell all my secrets. But here's the thing, and here's a line that Bill Ford Jr. used, 20 years ago when they had a free agent defensive lineman. Henry Thomas came to visit the Pontiac Silverdome on a free agent trip, and he left with a 3-year contract. And Bill said, it's the old saying from the auto business: don't let him out of the showroom when you want to close him. And that's what he did. Would you do the same thing with the general manager? Would you do the same thing with the head coach? Don't let him out of the showroom. Keep negotiating until they say yes.
Well, it's interesting because they've already talked to some of the GMs that are experienced but currently out of a job. Now you go into the phase where you talk to the guys really who haven't been a GM before, but are well thought of in the personnel departments, be it Dodds or whoever it is around the league that you're talking to. It's kind of a different phase of general managers that you're talking to at this point.
No, I agree with that too. But also the other thing is, if you've targeted a guy already and you've satisfied all the issues and rules and regulations on hiring in this day and age, then make a pitch for him. Just start negotiating until he says yes.
The longer you wait, the more money it's going to cost you, because when you get 6 teams negotiating with, is there a main guy now that you think the league is Rick Smith a main guy? Is the guy from TV, ESPN, Louis Riddick, is he a main guy? I mean, there's no real main guy, right? There's no guy everybody wants.
I think Louis Riddick is a main guy with fans. I'm not so sure he's a main guy with owners and people who run football organizations.
Yeah, I think he's certainly improved his standing.
Absolutely.
What he's done on TV, he clearly represents himself well. He's got a history of being in personnel departments. It's just a question of what each given team thinks. He hasn't obviously gotten the job yet. He's gotten a lot of interviews, so we'll have to wait and see. This could be his year with all the openings. I think right now, if you're looking at the experienced guys, you're looking at Dimitroff, you're looking at Smith. Those are the guys that kind of jump out to me. One has won 4 division titles. One has won 3 division titles. One went to a Super Bowl. The other one just kind of had his team blown up by Bill O'Brien. But
don't forget Scott Pioli, so he can bring that draft pick he cost us back.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of negative stuff that came out in Kansas City after he left there. I'm sure the Lions would have to really understand what went on there and how much of that was fact and how much of that was fiction.
Well, I just wanted to bring that draft pick he cost us back. Remember the Mayhew thing with him and the handshake and the draft pick he cost us for squealing on us? Bring that draft pick back, Scott.
When Kenny mentioned poaching somebody's coach or poaching somebody's general manager, what about John Snyder out in Seattle? There's talk that he might be wanting to move on and really run the football operation unlike in Seattle where the head coach has an awful lot of influence on it and some final say on some things.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the system that they have out there, and it's like a Pittsburgh or a Baltimore. Year after year, they've got talent. A bad season for them is 9-7. They have a type, they stick to it, they replenish their stock of talent, and they do a good job. I mean, I think their way of doing business and is the way that I think you'd like to see business done here in Detroit going forward.
It also helps do business when you have a model like that, when you've had the same coach with the way you play football.
And quarterback.
And I'm telling you now, don't sleep on Kevin Colbert.
Oh,
Don't
God.
sleep on Kevin. I know Mike.
I
Me and
don't
Mike
know,
had this
man.
argument. Don't sleep on Kevin Colbert. These little
I
1 year
look.
deals, these little 1 year deal things. You know, you write the right check. You write the right check. Just
I
remember
can't.
I said it. Just
I
remember I
look. I would
said it.
love to. I would love to see it, but that's one for me that I would really have to see to believe. I would want. I think everybody would be thrilled with that. I don't know. Do you get to the point where you're Kevin Colbert, where you've made enough money for so long that it's not really about an extra $2 or $3 million in a year or something like that?
Is
I
there
know
a
it's
better
nice.
challenge? Is there a better challenge than this job?
No,
And
and if it's part of what's in your heart because you've been here and you understand the angst and the history of it, and you want to be a part of what solves that could be something that drives somebody.
Yeah, but
yeah,
Kevin was one of Ron Hughes' proteges, and he left here in the 2000 season. Some people think he got fired by Matt Millen in 2001. That's not correct. He left on his own in 2000, went home to Pittsburgh, and he's been home in Pittsburgh now for this is his 21st year back there. I mean, he grew up there, and I just can't see prying him loose. You know, he came here from Miami, then on to Pittsburgh. I every time I see him, he looks like the happiest man in America.
you know, I just
KB,
came on now. Did you guys have the obligatory Matt Stafford must go or stay
no, but I
segment yet?
got about
Okay.
90
All right.
seconds. Give us your take.
I got told Mike earlier on our podcast, it's got to be a Lawrence Welk deal for me to get rid of him, and that's a 1 and a 2 and a 3. I mean, that's where we starting. Okay, that's where we starting. Otherwise, he's back with me. That's my guy. I'm backing him.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to get that much for him. I still think he's got some value, and I don't think he hurt his value with the way he played at the end of the year. I think he did some really good things. And we're going to talk about this on the other side of the break as well. I think it's such an incredible issue that you can talk yourself into both sides making sense.
I think
And I think some of it's going to come down to where Matthew is in all this.
if I'm the Detroit Lions, I think his best value is right here in Detroit. It gives you a chance to win every Sunday, every single Sunday. Hasn't worked out, but you think that'd have been 5-11 without him?
No,
No,
absolutely not. No,
no.
I think you're closer to 2008 without Matthew Stafford. Now, that's not to say there aren't some building blocks here, because there are, but he's the guy that has dragged you to the finish line of some victories here. So it's going to be interesting. KB, you never fail to entertain, my man.
Hey,
I
it's been a pleasure
appreciate
working
you.
with you over the years, Dan.
Hey,
Good luck.
it's been my pleasure. I appreciate you, brother. We'll see
All
you
right.
around.
Okay.
Thanks, KB. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Ken Brown joining us right there. I knew he'd be fun. See, that's the thing about KB. I knew he'd be fun. We'll take a break. We'll come right back. Kyle Meinke from MLive.com is going to join us on the other side. Try to answer some of the questions that are hanging out there when we come back.
Fox News, I'm Rich Dennison. Tomorrow's runoff elections in Georgia will determine who controls the U.S. Senate for the next 2 years. President-elect Joe Biden was in the state today campaigning for Democrats Jon Ossoff and Reverend Raphael Warnock.
Vote, vote, vote. Vote for John and the Reverend. Vote.
President Trump is attending a rally for Republican Senators David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler tonight. Georgia State Board of Elections Chief David Worley wants an investigation into President Trump's weekend call to Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, in which he asked him to overturn the state's election results.
Raffensperger pushed back on the president's claims of voter fraud, saying the state stands by its numbers. In a letter to Raffensperger, Worley asked for a probe into whether the president solicited the Secretary of State to commit election fraud.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland in Washington. America is listening to Fox News.
I-696 westbound on the ramp to I-75, an accident, the right lane of the ramp blocked. Emergency crews on scene. Use caution as you make your way through the area. 14-mile road, both directions between Novi Road and M5 closed for water main work. I'm Peggy Hodge, WJR Traffic and Weather First.
A change to the jet stream patterns means a fairly quiet forecast for us here this week. Not much in the way of precip advertised by long-range models for the next 7 days. Mostly cloudy this afternoon, high 35. Low tonight, 28 degrees. Northwest breeze tomorrow, cloudy 36. And cloudy on Wednesday, 37 degrees. I'm meteorologist Scott Laurie, more on News Talk 760 WJR.
back to more Lions Review. Presented by MGM Grand Detroit, the king of sportsbooks. Here's Dan Miller.
So here we go, back to the action. 1st and 5 from the Lion 40, 11 seconds to go. Cousins has got it back, throws, it is going to be caught. It is Beebe bouncing off a tackle and into the end zone for the score. Oh my goodness. Beebe caught it at about the 18-yard line, bounced off a couple of Lions, looked up, nothing but end zone in front of him, and he just flew it home.
And that's what we talk about. First man getting there, being able to make the tackle, but wrapping guys up, not just thudding guys. You got to wrap guys up.
That didn't happen right there, to be sure.
Dan,
that was brutal.
That was appalling. You've heard me complain about this all year, but that to me was just the height of lousy. And one of my columns for DetroitLions.com, I referred to those weren't defenders; they were onlookers. And later I changed it to they were gawkers. Only thing missing was the red and blue lights and a street crash.
I am
awful.
Gassed at the tackling that I have seen in the NFL. I mean, college football, watching it Saturday, nobody wraps up anymore. It's just it's not good. Let's bring in our good friend Kyle Meinke, who joins us right now from MLive.com, does a great job covering the Lions. And just when the season ends, his business gets a lot busier right now with everything going on with the Lions. Kyle, good evening to you.
Guys, I'm really tired.
You're tired now. Yeah. This is when I was talking to you the other day. When do you sleep? When do you think you'll be able to put down the computer for 2 days and not worry about anything? When's the next time?
I think February sounds safe, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean,
they have to hire a general manager. That's going to be chaotic for 2 weeks.
Yep.
Probably will hire a head coach shortly after that. That'll be a flurry of activity. They got to hire a staff at some point. I mean, they got to make some calls on the quarterback and some other key players. It's going to be a long few weeks.
Yeah, that's true because okay, hire a GM, hire a head coach, but then you're tuned in for, as you said, the staff, coordinators, everybody. I mean, this is going to be an ongoing process. They really didn't do you any favors for your offseason here, Kyle.
No, but I'll have to have a talk with Rod Wood about that for next time around. Really, think about the Meinke household and my Netflix watching my Netflix watching time.
I got to tell you there, Kyle, I appreciate your misery. It sort of invigorates me hearing about it.
Hey guys, Mike. Love you, buddy. Love you, buddy.
Mike has always been one to revel in others' misery.
Yeah, I admit it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But you know what? There's an old saying: "There's no better feeling in the world than watching your friends fail." It's just kind of smirk and laugh, and oh, you stepped on a ring. I'm sorry to hear that.
Boy, do I miss being in the same room with you guys 5 times a week.
I just got to say, I've seen enough failure, guys, for 17 weeks. I just want some happy things in my life.
Yeah, I'm with you. And listen, this city is such a better place when that team doesn't have everybody angry. And it would be nice to see something that kind of invigorates the fans a little bit. What do you feel like a timeline is here? And we were just talking about the fact that I'm not a good shopper. I would worry about everybody else stealing my guy. And with so many other people in the market for a head coach and a GM, I don't think I'd be very good at this, Kyle. There's a lot that goes into the moves they make here over the next couple of weeks.
No doubt, Dan. I think the rough timeline I put on it is about 2 weeks for the GM. I suspect they'll hire a coach after they hire a GM. I don't think it's impossible they would hire a head coach first if a guy became available they wanted, maybe with a premature exit in the playoffs or what have you. But I think it would make more sense to me to hire the big man first and then let him have some say in what happens with his head coach. It doesn't necessarily mean he'll get to pick the coach, but I just think everyone needs to be on the same page. And that, to me, makes the most sense just based on what other successful organizations do and what I've heard what the Lions want to do. But as you said, Dan, there's a ton of candidates out there. I counted it up today. There's 12 names. If you want to include John Schneider from the Seahawks, 12 names who have been attached to this job. That's a lot of guys, and I like what the Lions' approach is. I think we talked about this the other day, but they talked to 3 guys the last time around in 2016, and they got the guy they wanted, and that's nice, but it didn't work out. This way around, Dan and Mike, you get, I mean, they have 4 times the number of names in the hat right now. That's 4 times the number of ideas they'll hear from people around the league about what's working and what's not, and what the view around the league is about what's happening in Detroit. You get to hear a lot more game plans, if you will, about what people would do with this roster. I would love to be in those conversations when Sheila Ford Hamp and Rod Wood and Chris Spielman ask these guys, what would you do with the quarterback positions? Sure. I think there are multiple ways to go without a clear-cut answer. And I would just be riveted to hear what the opinion is around the league about what to do with Matthew Stafford in that quarterback position.
Guys, don't you think that when you get competing thoughts and alternate thinking, that it really benefits the organization because it gives you a broader scope of what's going on, and you hear more of what people think about your organization and where it's headed or not headed? I think there's some real value to that, and I think in sort of a inverted way, you're benefiting, the Detroit Lions are, from their inexperience the first time.
I totally agree. I think they did themselves a disservice the last time around. Ernie Accorsi was the lead advisor there the last time. Rod Wood was in the building and had a say in that conversation and in that decision. But they talked to 3 guys and settled on Bob Quinn, a first-time GM. This time, 12 names, one of whom's a current GM in Seattle, 4 of whom I believe are former GMs around the league. One of whom is Thomas Dimitroff, who was just fired. That's a lot of different ideas and ways to build rosters and teams and organizations and ways to handle the full scope of your organization, which I think also it maybe gets pushed to the back of the of things publicly because it's not as sexy to talk about in terms of offense or defense or something. But if you listen to Rod Wood and you listen to Sheila Ford Hamp and you listen to Chris Spielman talk, these guys are talking a lot about culture and a lot about the organization. And I know parts of the organization felt walled off from other parts of the organization under the previous regime, and that was a cultural issue. You had, us versus them mentality in some parts of the organization, or at least the perception thereof. And I think you're going to get a lot of ideas about how to run organizations based on just the sheer quantity and volume of guys to bring in to talk to.
Yeah, and I know Chris Spielman is very big on that, and he's talked about that a lot, bringing that building together and making everybody feel as one. And Kyle, you said it, that there was not that feeling there during the previous regime. So I'll throw this at you. If you look at the offense, you have building blocks in Hockenson, Decker, Ragnow, Swift, Galladay if you re-sign him. Those are pretty solid building blocks for an offense. And then the Stafford question. You really don't have that on defense. You have a bunch of question marks. So is there somebody, Kyle, that could walk in the door and talk you into, I think we just rebuild this thing. We keep Stafford. I think I can rebuild this thing in a year, because in 2 years, you're into the last year of his contract and then it becomes dicey. What's the way somebody could sell you on, we can turn this thing around without blowing it up?
Yeah, it wouldn't take very much to sell me on it. I honestly think if I were to put a percentage chance on the chances of Stafford coming back next year, it would be more than 50%, maybe more than 60%. It can go both ways, but I think he's such a good player, Dan. Like, his reputation around the league is so high. And we've seen what this offense can do when he's on the field. They were averaging 29 points a game there with Darrell Bevell as the interim head coach and Stafford on the field down the stretch. And we've seen that offense without Matthew Stafford on the field. They didn't get across the 50-yard line with Chase Daniel against Tampa Bay. Never got into the red zone. It was ugly. They were 0-8 last year without Stafford. He makes that much of a difference,
Okay, but
they have a lot of other pieces in that.
Let me throw this at you, Kyle. You're interviewing for the job, and I'm playing devil's advocate here. And I don't disagree with anything you just said, but now I want you to sell me on how you're going to fix this defense, because I just found out this year, I don't care how good that offense is, you can't win with this defense. So how do you fix that to make this whole plan come together quickly?
Yeah, I'm not sure that it's possible. And that's the crux of the argument. I think that the Lions are better off with Matthew Stafford going forward. He's going to be 33. That's not that old. He does have some mileage, but he's still playing well. You can redo the contract. You have no questions about him off the field or in terms of his leadership, big arm. I mean, he's got everything else. You can build around him. The problem is that the defense is such a wreck that if you don't trade Stafford and get the first round pick or the multiple picks that you would get for him, it's just going to hinder the rebuild that much more on defense. And while you're waiting for that thing to build up over 2 or 3 years, Ben Stafford is reaching 34, 35 years old. You got to pay him a bunch more money. And that, to me, that is the problem with the Matthew Stafford dilemma. I think all things being equal, I would build around Matthew Stafford. That's how I would do it. But I just don't know if the timeline lines up. Because if you don't trade him and you're going into a draft with 5 draft picks in a shrinking cap environment and trying to repair every single level of a defense that was the worst in franchise history and the second, allowed the second most points in league history, I just don't think you can do it in a timeline that would make sense with Matthew Stafford coming back.
Yeah,
it's a difficult conversation.
Yeah, it is. And you can talk yourself into both ways, but it is really tough when you look at the daunting task of rebuilding that defense. It's tough. Kyle, look, great stuff. We appreciate you, man. And we will look forward to reading you as this goes on, because there's going to be a lot happening here, as you just said, over the next month and a half to 2 months. So we appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you, Dan, and I even appreciate you too, Mike. Please go get a nap or something, man.
Dan, you listen to that man lie like that? Come on.
Oh, we appreciate him. All right, let's take a break. We'll come right back. Kyle, it's always great to talk to him. Let's see, who brought you that? Henry Ford Health System, the official healthcare provider of the Detroit Lions. We'll take a break, come right back.
back to more Lions Review. Presented by MGM Grand Detroit, the king of sportsbooks. Here's Dan Miller.
Madison back in at running back. 4th and goal from the 1. Cousins play action fake. Gonna get sacked. Never had a chance. Dropped by Tracy Walker. There is a flag down. Hang on a second. What do we have?
Personal foul,
roughing the passer. Defense,
No.
number 21.
No.
Half the distance to the goal.
No.
Automatic.
Are they
first
going to
down.
say that he drove him into the ground?
No,
What's the call?
Dan, no. Unless they talk about head-to-head.
What is the
That's
call?
the only
There's no
thing.
head-to-head. What's
No,
the call?
No.
That's one of the worst calls
No.
I've ever seen, and I call Lions
No,
games.
that's terrible. That is terrible.
I've seen some things, Michael.
Dan, come on. You know what? Paula Pash, who's the for the Oakland Press, she's the pool reporter for those things. She read the rule to the referee. He insisted he called it right. He's a
right.
liar.
I'm going to tell you that. Hang on. I'm going to get to that in a second. That's a call to the game sponsored by Ring Central, official partner of the Detroit Lions. Ring Central, message, video, phone together. Mike, do you know what that is? And I read what Paula did a great job with him.
Yes, she did.
Do you know what that is? That is NFL arrogance at its finest.
Yep.
That is the condescending nature that is the NFL when you dare question something within the shield. And we've all seen it, and that's what that was. When you read the way that he talked and the way that he was flat wrong. It is, in fact, one of the worst calls I've ever seen in my life.
No, I didn't. Where we are, I didn't get a chance to hear any of the like Dean Blandino or anybody like that. I don't know how they chimed in. If they
He said it was a
supported
football play. Blandino said bad call.
Yeah. Okay. Good. When he was with the league, he would either say we would have supported that call or wouldn't have supported it. He had some sort of way of dressing it up a little bit. But it's awful. It's just awful. I mean, all that stuff that goes on, and there are 4 shots from the 1 yard line. It's not exactly, Frank Ragnow once referred to that goal line stuff as Cro-Magnon man. That's how tough it is down there.
I mean, that was not even close. I don't even know. I don't know if we'll get the feedback from the league because the Lions are going in a different direction, and that's not something that they're probably concerned with right now. But if it were the regular season on Tuesday, they would probably get a call from the league that says, "Hey, we messed up. We're sorry about that. We're going to try to get it right next week." But that was absolutely brutal. Hey, Michael, listen, our parents sold the house, so we're moving. This is our final show here. And a lot of people know that. Yeah. A lot of people know that we are moving on to a different station. And I just want to say thank you. I have enjoyed it. You are the best. I have enjoyed Monday nights with you. Michael Stetz, Dave Rieger, the great Nick Roddy, who has been our executive producer throughout this whole thing for Game Day and for these shows. Thanks to everybody who has done this. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Michael, I know we will continue to do what we do over the phone and everything else. So I know you're not going anywhere, but I got 10 seconds left. Thank you to WJR and to everybody. This has been fantastic. I wish you nothing but the best. Good night, everybody.